And to the other side of this conversation, I would like to invite our panelists and members of our DevOps panel. And as you all go online, I will start the introduction. So the moderator is my co-organizer, Bukola. And Bukola is a DevOps engineer who is passionate about solving problems with technology. And she helps organizing events with women tech makers in Berlin. She's passionate about bringing change and inclusion into tech and enjoys sharing her knowledge by doing mentorship, especially to young women in tech. Whoop whoop. Then so Bukola will be moderating this conversation, and our first panelist is Manu, who is a project lead at Wipro Limited. And you have a diverse experience of over 9 years in banking, automobile, service, and consulting industries. And you've been responsible for building, managing, and supporting cloud infrastructures. And at the moment, you leave the DevOps team that also includes recruitment. So that's a tricky one. I bet that includes some of the motivation of the developers. And in your free time, you love traveling around the world. And I hope you'll get to pick up this habit as well soon again. Our second panelist for today is Olatokunbo. And Olatokunbo is a DevOps engineer at Venture Garden Group, where you deploy and secure and support cloud infrastructure solutions. And you studied computer science back in 2018, and you are passionate about mothers thriving in the tech-related career. And you volunteer in She Codes Africa and Techstar Amazon. Wonderful initiatives. It's super nice to have you all on board. Please take the stage for this conversation. Bukola, as the moderator of this panel, would you be taking questions, or is it more of a listening thing?
Yeah, I'll be taking questions and then we'll just deliberate as we go.
Wonderful. Then if you have questions for the panel, the stage is yours, and have a great panel. I'm excited.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much. We are excited to be here. And thank you, Manmura and Olatokunbo for joining the call. So I'll call Manmura by Manu. I prefer to call him by that. That's the short form of his name. Okay, so we are excited to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for joining the panel and for joining DevFest generally. We are so happy to have you here. So we'll dive right in so that we don't take too much of the time. And today I have with me two DevOps, strong man and woman, and we want to learn from them. I know a lot of people are there, a lot of beginners want to come into the DevOps space, but they have questions, they have worries. How do they start? Where do they start from? What is even DevOps? What is all of this DevOps thing? A lot of people need they want someone to handhold them, to guide them. So that's why we are having this panel today, because I believe it will help someone out there to start their career, or even if you're already in that space, to help you leverage on the opportunities you have. So my first question will go to the both of you, actually. So maybe Manu would go first. How did you get into DevOps? Maybe you would like to tell us how you started your DevOps career so that other people can also learn from you.
Hey, thanks, Bukola. I'm excited to be talking here with the panel. So, yeah, to begin with, my career was more on the server side, backend side, where I was dealing with servers, middleware stuff. And back in 2015, where I got an opportunity to work for a mobile application for a car company, where objective was to build that application and then deploy it over the cloud. And that's where my transition from a middleware, which is a legacy infrastructure, to move to cloud came in, where I came to know about something called agile, the way that the way we have been doing the work for last 4 or 5 years, which is in a waterfall method, creating ticket, taking approvals. It's for provisioning a VM or deploying something. We are just taking a week time. So that was a little painful. And then suddenly moving to an agile methodology where we are dealing with Kanban boards, CI/CD pipelines, and then cloud infrastructure, provisioning the VMs within a minute or so, which was really fascinating at that time. So yeah, that was the point that I actually got an opportunity and just took a chance to learn that technology for myself, build a team, who could deploy, and then that's where I got into containers later on after a year or two. So that was when I got into DevOps. So
Wow, that's quite a journey. Interesting. Yeah, thank you so much. I love that journey because I also I started out as a system administrator and I was able to transition into DevOps. So that's really cool. Thank you, Manu. Olatokunbo, would you like to tell us about how you got into DevOps?
Yeah, yeah, I would love that. Thank you very much, Bukola. And Manu, that was a very interesting transition. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was a bit different. I started off as a front end engineer, and then I was doing that for a couple of years. However, in my role as a front end engineer, where I work, there's what we call an initiative called the DevOps Marshall Initiative. And what that means is because we we were a bit short staffed on DevOps engineers. So the few DevOps engineers that we had, they were compelled to train some other guys, like some back-end engineers, some front-end engineers, so that they can take up some tasks that come up right within the business units. For example, troubleshooting, infrastructure, for example, just simple deployment and all, just to have them, do the not heavy lifting, however, just something little to just fast track the workflow and all that. So I was part of that initiative. So that was how I kind of started, right? So I was introduced into DevOps, introduced to CI/CD, a bit of containerization, the different web servers, and also whenever there was issues on deployment or maybe on test or staging or whatever, they will usually fall back on me. I'll try to troubleshoot and resolve. If I can't, then I can escalate to the major DevOps guys and all. So I did that for about 9 months. Then eventually, my team they just felt like I mean, that since I'd gained a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge on this, why not join the core DevOps team? And that was how I just transitioned easily into core DevOps engineering. And since then, I've not looked back. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Thank you, Takumba. That was a
So,
nice one, actually. I'm happy that the two people on this call actually transitioned into DevOps. And that was deliberate because I know a lot of people want to do the same transitioning. And I would really like a lot of people to learn from us today and be able to to move on in their as a move up in their career or do the switch or start their career in the DevOps space and cloud space. So yeah, my next question would go to Manu. Why do you think DevOps is actually very important? There's this hype around it, like DevOps, DevOps, DevOps. A lot of organizations are trying to recruit DevOps. Even a lot of startups, just someone they just need DevOps person in house. Why do you think? What's the what craze? Permit me to use that word. What's the craze about it? That's everything DevOps, DevOps, DevOps. Everywhere is DevOps. What do you think?
yeah,
What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, people who are 10 years old in this industry will definitely understand the way when we back in 2009, 12, we had a project or we wanted to implement something. It goes through lot of approvals for anything, right? Provisioning, decommissioning, provisioning a server, deploying, iterations, right? And a simple mobile application might take, which was supposed to take a month or two, it might have taken as 6 months just because of process, approvals and stuff. Now, why DevOps is important is because DevOps is just not a tool, right? It's a methodology, right? It's a process, the way we work. We have been working in a waterfall method, which have been very slow, which is good in some way. But right now, when we are talking about DevOps, it's a cluster of tools, right? We are talking about cloud, we are talking about pipeline, we are talking about automation. And now the major difference why we need DevOps, coming to your question, is like there have been a gap between the developers and operations people. I have been an operations guy all my careers from the beginning, right? But now there was a wall, I would say a wall between operations and developers, and then the communication that we used to have was very minimal. DevOps breaks that wall, I would say. So now people from operations do little bit of development, for developers do little bit of operations, and they understand what they are doing and they understand what we are doing. And now, and that's when the agile methodology works, right? Then we do a pair programming. Like, now you have some information as a developer, I have some information as an operations guy. Let's do a pair programming and let's see what fits best for the infrastructure and how your application could work efficiently. And then we have some tools like Kanban board, we have CI/CD pipeline to even make it efficient, right? So, like, why we need, like, the best part of agile or DevOps, I feel, is interaction, collaboration. Like, earlier we hardly used to interact within the team, but now, like, coming into agile DevOps, we actually interact daily with the team in the stand-up meetings every day in the morning, where we discuss what issues are happening, what is a sprint cycle, are there any roadblocks you have, anything you learned. And then there is a sharing of knowledge that happens between, and then that immediately brings a trust between the employees and between developers and operations people. And ultimately, the work which was supposed to happen within a week, could have been done earlier within 2 or 3 days, because of more trust between the people within the developers and the operations people. So yeah, I mean, DevOps has played an important role in myself and definitely within the organization.
Hmm. Thank you for that perspective. So it's like I always tell people, I'm happy you said that DevOps is not is about tools, like culture, a way of is like a way of doing things. So
Yep.
I'm happy you mentioned that, and I'm sure a lot of people here would be able to get some understanding about what DevOps is really. So thank
Yeah,
you. Okay.
the thing, just wanted to add one thing, because
Yeah.
DevOps is a very vague term.
Mm.
So for someone who is early in the DevOps career, for him DevOps might be just cloud, AWS, Azure. For someone who is in containers, for him DevOps is containers, Kubernetes. But actually, it's not the tools; it's actually the culture that DevOps brings in. That's what you have mentioned. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so my next question will go to Tokumbo. Uh, there are some ways that is actually benefiting organizations. What are your thoughts on this? Like, I know Manu has said some of this while he was answering the previous question, but from your own perspective, what are some of the ways that you think having practicing DevOps culture, because we now understand that DevOps is actually a culture, is a way of doing things. What are some benefits that you feel that having, maybe some organization are still not practicing it and they are here on the call? What are some benefits you feel they are missing out on by not practicing DevOps? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bukola. Um, the whole lot, the whole lot. Then thank you also to Manu. He mentioned some. I want to let me just zero in on about two, right? So
Mm,
a whole lot, like I said before. So in my experience, let me bring it home. Two major ones. First, you ship your product to market faster and is less buggy. And why I said this is, let me give you a real life example. Before, I'll say before, just like the example Manu cited, before DevOps, before core DevOps came into development and all that, there was a wall in between the operations team and developers team. So more like
mm,
developers just write their code and almost throw it over the wall to the operations guys, like, you guys just deploy it and let every other person, have access to my application and all. So where there are issues of iterations are made, right, and then a feature is added, or there are some bugs and they're trying to, I mean, to roll back to how it was will be a lot of issues, right? Because now the developers might say, no, the operations didn't deploy it the way it's supposed to do. Issues of it works on my system, it works on my own environment, it doesn't work on, a lot of things like that, back and forth. It was just very hectic. But now, for example, I can Dockerize my application, right? Get it deployed, the DevOps guy picks it, you get it's an isolated environment. The dependencies that you have working in your environment works in the same environment because it's Dockerized, right? There are less bugs, right? And even if you need to roll back, you can easily roll back to wherever state you want it to be rolled in. So beyond that, your applications are less buggy. Two, you
mm,
time to market is faster, At the end of the day, what we're trying to achieve is make our clients happy. They have less bugs in their applications, and at the end of the day, more money for the company, and the clients are happy. So DevOps actually breaks down that wall, right? And at the end of the day, gives you a happy customer and a happy company. So in summary, having DevOps, I mean, practicing having DevOps as a culture in your company will actually do you more good than harm, because at the end of the day, your client is happy and you're happy. Just in summary.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for that perspective. Happy customer, DevOps, happy customer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So let's move on. Let's move on. Manu, what can you talk about a particular DevOps project? I know you would have done a lot of projects because you've been in DevOps space for a while, but there must be one that you're really excited about, or something that is really close to your heart. What's can you tell us about it? Maybe like a summary of it, a project that you've worked on that you really find. I know you will find a lot of them interesting, of course, but just run us through one of it.
Yeah, thank you, Bukla. Yeah, I mean, I'll bring back to my earlier comment on an mobile application that I was talking about for a automobile company, right? So that was my initial transition, and that's when I actually got into DevOps, where uh, I got an opportunity to travel and then got to meet my client partners, where I actually was on the brainstorming session. The actual knowledge sharing happens only in the brainstorming session, which is a planning stage, where you decide what needs to be done, how it has to be done, who will be the team members. So that point was little overwhelming for me, because I have been only in the backends, but now discussing directly with the clients, understanding what is their requirement, how we can, what all tools we can bring in to accomplish that was really really good for me. So that was a project where I worked on planning, analyzing on which infrastructure this application might fit in. So then that's when I got into a concept called pair programming. As I said, I have been an operations guy all my life. So the amount of programming that I used to do was, I would say, 5-10%. But that's when I got introduced to a few of the programming like Golang, a little bit of Java. So now I'm sitting with the developer, she is looking at his screen, understanding how he is building the application, and I'm from a operations guy, letting him know that, okay, if you deploy in this particular platform, this all benefits you could get. It will be beneficial for his application. So now that interaction was really good between us, and I was able to understand the code that he has built. At that time, I won't say that I'm in a position to write the complete code, but now I can understand how the code was built. So I am able to optimize the memory, maybe disk, whatever, based on the code. So that was a good experience in terms of understanding, meeting with developers, learning from them, and a good starting point for me to be a programmer now. So I won't say I am tired of being an operations guy. I love being an operations guy, but now once you understand the product, once you see how you're contributing to the real product, it feels different. So yeah, I mean, that was my experience building that application and then deploying it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool. That's really nice. I also love the fact that DevOps is helping us bridge the gap between that uh, developer operations silo kind of a thing. Like there's because as a DevOps engineer, you also have to know what the developers are doing for you to be able to publish their codes and deploy and all of those. So really cool. Thank you for sharing your experience with us, Manu. I really love that. Okay, my next question will go to Tukumbo. DevOps is a big thing now, but a lot of people are not still in that space. Like I see a lot of job opportunities online. People are looking for DevOps engineer, but it's like there's scarcity. Why do you think that scarcity is there? Why? And how, two questions in one. Why do you think the scarcity is there? And how do you think we can help improve? Is that the right word? Help bring in more people into the DevOps space. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Bukola. Okay, so first, I'll say there's a myth surrounding what DevOps is. There's a myth surrounding what DevOps engineers actually do. So once you don't understand the thing, it will seem very vague to you, attainable kind of to you. So I'll say a lot of people don't understand.
Hello? Is that from me? Manu, can you hear her?
No, I think
Oh,
there is some
maybe it's our
internet.
network. Wow.
Yeah.
I hope network comes back soon. Gets restored. Hello, Olatokunbo. Okay, while we wait for Olatokunbo, Manu, maybe you want to share your ideas on why do you think there's scarcity and how can we improve that? How can we help reduce the scarcity in the DevOps space and
Yeah,
let more people come into that space?
yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is like, everyone feels comfortable in their own space. Yeah. Now asking me to code something, build an application, like 5 years back, I will be very scared because I'm in a bubble where I'm comfortable in doing what I know. Now someone asking you to switch back to a something new, learn something, and then implement it for the organization, it scares people. Yeah. So,
Mm,
but coming to how do you overcome it? What I have found personally is like, there are certifications. Like now, you are a normal operations or middleware guy, and you want to get into cloud or something. Pick up any cloud, AWS, Azure, Alibaba. There are a lot of Oracle clouds. So pick up anything, learn about, because the core concept of every cloud is same. The way the terminologies might be different. Just you have a lot of resources like Udemy. You have a lot of resources like Plural has online resources that you can, um, they're not they're not that costly that for one course or something you can pick up any course. And once you do a 9 hours or 10 hours course where you have an understanding of, okay, this is a cloud and this is what it could do. Now once you have the done the course, I would say take up the certification. Its certification is nothing but brings a confidence within yourself, because it validates your knowledge, what you have spent 9 hours or 10 hours in your course, right? It's not for showing someone, it's for your validation that, okay, if you are able to pass this certification, you are sure that, okay, now you might be able to crack an interview. So certification, I would say, a good starting point after the course you have completed. And then once you have completed, I mean, it's all about breaking that bubble. So you you have taken up the course, you have done the certification, you almost broke the bubble. Now you have to just grab an opportunity, and that's where you can apply and then showcase. I mean, sometimes recruiters do appreciate if you have not you have shown that, okay, you have taken an effort to learn something even though you have not worked on real time. So
mm.
if you are able to show that, I think you will be able to achieve it. So that's a good thing.
Wow. Thank you. I think you answered my next question while trying to explain the former one. So that's pretty cool because I was going to ask that how can people really what do you think people can do to get into this space? But yes, you've said it all. As I always tell people that training is really key, and if you really put your mind to it, you can actually do it. There's not a much big deal about it. Everybody can learn anything once you can practice and do all of your homework properly, just like Manu has told us. And certification is a really good thing because it also helps you to know your worth and what you are able to do, like measure your performance and all. So thank you, Manu, for saying
Um,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I would like to add one more point. I mean, that one instance is like, once uh, we as an operation guy used to write a lot of scripts, right? Perl scripts, bash scripts.
Mm,
And if you, one good thing is like, if you want to get out of your bubble, learn into programming, get into programming, as small script, instead of writing in bash or shell, go into write into Golang. Might not be the best, but you know what needs to be done. But how to do within Golang or Python, that would be a challenging, and then you can achieve it, and that could be a good starting point as well. So just wanted to add.
Yeah, cool, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Olatokunbo, you're welcome back. I guess your
Yeah, I'm
network
so
was
sorry.
misbehaving.
Yeah, I had to mute. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. So Manu has been able to help us answer the last question I threw at you, and that's really cool. So I'll just move to the next question
Okay.
when since you're back now. So what are some of the tools that and tech tools and technologies that you would advise young people? Because I know a lot of people want to start out, they're on this call, they're trying to know what to learn and all. What are some tools that you feel they should start with? Manu has told us about certifications. He has said that it's good to do certifications, it's good to learn to do some courses. So, going to you now, what are some tools that, as a DevOps engineer, you use in your day to day, and you feel anybody trying to come into this space should also learn these tools?
Okay, okay. Thank you, Bukola. I apologize again for the
No, it's
hitch.
okay.
All right. Okay, so I will use myself as a use case and as an example also. So starting off, of course, because I started off as a front end engineer, I already had knowledge of version control. That's source control with Git. So that's very, very key. As a DevOps engineer, you should know how to, you should be familiar with code versioning. So that's Git, right? Understand how to use Git. Um, there are so many resources out there that you can easily get them up and running with. So version control with Git. Then realize that there's a difference between well, not so they are intertwined kind of, but Git is the version control, right? So there are different tools, right, that you could use with that. So there's GitHub, a repository with which you can store all your codes and all that. There's Bitbucket, right? There's GitLab and a whole lot of others like that. But key first, you should understand version control, which is Git. Then you should know bash script. I think I heard Manu too. I heard that part in his last session when he talked about bash scripting. Understand how to work with bash script. Very key. Then from that, there's you need to understand continuous integration, continuous deployment. So let's say continuous integration, there are a million and one off with
Wow.
Jenkins, a build
Okay.
tool of integration that I with. And I mean, I was already
Mm.
using Jenkins as a front end engineer, right, before I eventually transitioned. But now there's Jenkins, there's Travis AI, there's GitHub, there's Azure DevOps, and a whole lot.
Wow. Network is trying to mess with us today. Okay, so thank you, Olatokunbo. She can't hear me obviously because of the network. Oh, I think she's back.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm sorry, it just keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, the network keeps breaking.
Yeah, so Jenkins, Azure DevOps, GitLab, Travis CI. For containerization, you should Docker. I mean, Docker is key. You should know how to Dockerize applications. Then to orchestrate your containers, Kubernetes, right? There's Docker Swarm though. Docker Swarm is more specific. Kubernetes is more general. You can use for all containers and all that. So, excuse me. So,
Sorry.
beyond that, yeah, these are some of the basic tools. I feel if you get up and running with this, you'll be comfortable to use every other tool. Yeah, thank you, Bukola.
Okay, thank you for giving us the tools that we need. I hope people have heard that tools that you need to get started with. Those are the ones that Olatokunbo has mentioned. Yeah, thank you for that. There's a question from Donia that I would say Mano should. Any of you can answer actually. Do you have any advice to ease the work relationship between developers and DevOps? So one
Hmm.
of our participants is asking that question. Do you have advice to ease the work relationship between developers and DevOps?
Hmm.
Okay, I'll take first then. Uh, yeah, I mean, this is what we used to do whenever application is in planning phase. Usually, what they do is they have their own architects where they design or they discuss on planning how the application needs to be programmed or something. And but now, what we used to request them, or what as part of DevOps and Agile methodology, like we used to say that okay, include one of our teammates, right? So he understands what is happening in planning phase. Now you start one of our operations guys and the planning phase discussion. Now, when the application is being built, we are regularly interacting with, like, weekly or bi-weekly based on the application requirement, understanding how their load performance is happening with the application. So we used to have the interaction, and that brings the earlier point that I brought. To understand how the application performance or optimize the application performance, or how to help the developers, it's important that you know how the programming is done. In the sense, you understand the syntax of a code. You understand, okay, if there's a block, there's a structure, there's a pointer, there's an array, what is happening, right? Where is the problem? So you should have an ability to understand that. And that's where, like, it's like self-skilling yourself over the programming knowledge, not the hardcore full stack developer, but you understand what is what. And then we used to have an once we have gained that knowledge, we used to have a regular interaction with them, uh, bi-weekly scheduled meeting, which can be cancelled, but we used to have a scheduled meeting that they can, because sometimes, unless you give a person a platform to speak or ask question, it might or might not be relevant or irrelevant. But then, if you give a platform for developers and the DevOps people to speak or discuss their pain points, it will never be easy. So I think scheduling a regular meetings is a platform where you can just share and understand what is happening between each team. So I think that's a good starting point to avoid that gap.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I hope Manu has been able to answer Donia's question about how to advise the work relationship between developers and DevOps. So my next question, so Kumo, do you have any perspective on that?
Yeah, just a very brief one, and it's just to um speak to what Manito has also said. So it's very key that that relationship, the relationship between DevOps and developers is a very tricky one, but it's actually easy kind of. So what I do is, a lot of the times when they have issues, and for example they raise tickets on Jira that my app is not running correctly, this infrastructure I can't reach and all that, I usually advise that, look, at the start of each of your planning and everything, carry us along. So we have our issues initially where we're totally disjointed from what they were doing. So at the end of the day, when they're ready, a build is just triggered and we take it up from there. So I encourage my colleagues and the developers that, look, in your sprint planning session, when you're about starting your project and everything, let a representative from our side come over and see what you are doing. Let's see what you are planning. Let's see the bigger picture. Let's see what you're trying to achieve. That way, at the end of the day, we are into your plan. We see everything you're trying to achieve. So we won't be, what's the right word to use now? We won't be totally lost when you're trying to achieve something and we're like, oh, so what is this supposed to be doing? What is that supposed to be doing? What are you trying to achieve? We already in, right? You get from the get go. We see what you're trying to achieve.
Oh no, network is not nice to us today. Okay, while we wait for Olatokunbo, Manu, I'll ask you the next question while we're trying to round up the session. So you've said a lot about trainings. So for new people or for people that want to transition into this field, what are some resources that you would recommend that has helped you, resources that have helped you as an individual to like get your get get your needed skills you need? What are some maybe resources, maybe it's books, maybe websites, or general resources that you think people that want to come into this space should use?
Yeah, thanks, Bukola, for that question. So I have answered some part of it, but then the important that I used to say my friends and colleagues that make a LinkedIn profile, make the LinkedIn profile, because there are there are many people in over the LinkedIn where they share the experience that they have attained over a span of time in learning a technology, or what challenges they brought in. And the the I think for learning anything, there needs to be a motivation. Unless you have a motivation to learn, uh, uh, you can't do it. So there is a motivation, and I think I personally felt LinkedIn is a good motivation point. So once you have a motivation, now comes how to achieve that, right? So as I said, there are online tools like Udemy, Plural sites. There are very specific cloud specific, like AWS specific courses like a cloud guru, right? So what I used to do is, like, for example, if I have to learn Kubernetes, for example, now I'll go to Udemy, check for the best course that I feel is, take up the course. I think getting started with any course is a good start, and then you know what is good, what is not good for you. So get started with any course, be it in Udemy, be it in Pluralsight, or be it in YouTube itself, right? Once you have the course, you have done the course, you have to be sure that you know what you have learned. Now enroll for a certification, right? Enroll for a certification, do the certification, validate it for yourself, and then later it showcase to the employer saying that, okay, you are a certified person, you have done what is required for this position, right? So you have shown that. Now the point is, like, now the question answers comes in, and then the some questions might be related to your real time experience, whether you have it or you don't have it. But then if you are able to showcase that, okay, you have already attained the knowledge, but you lack a real time experience that you're looking for, you can very well say that, right? uh, but it's important that you showcase your ability to learn, grasp, get into the team. So I think that's good enough. And I always say that motivation is something. If you have the motivation, you will do anything and find the resources by yourself. So
Mm, nice. I love that because really motivation is a big deal. Without
yeah,
motivation, we can't do anything. So I
yeah,
love the fact that you have mentioned that even if you have to read a lot of stuff and all, you still have to be motivated to be able to
yeah.
keep pushing forward in the face of challenges. Okay, so my last question. Unfortunately, Tokumbo is not able to join us back. Maybe she'll still join
Okay.
in, but we are rounding up already. My last question will be that a lot of people reach out to me and keep asking, like a lot of beginners, they would like to know where they can start from. Like, I know depending on the organization, in the DevOps team can be split into different categories. Like maybe some people doing monitoring, some people doing CI/CD, some people doing containerization. But some organization is just one person, one team that is responsible for all of it end to end. What's your advice for people that are just starting out? What do you think? How do you think they can start out? Because that can really be confusing for a lot of people. Like, where do I start from? Which of these tools should I read? Should I study? So, what do you think from your experience as a DevOps person, as a lead?
Okay, so DevOps, whenever it comes, there is always a cloud component out of it, right? So you make sure, if you're a beginner, make sure that you know what is cloud. Learn something, or one of that cloud. You need not learn Azure, AWS. You need not learn every cloud. No one knows everything, right? You learn one thing, and the core concepts are similar. Computing is same. So you, if you know those things, you are already good in the cloud perspective. Now comes, take every perspective, like for CI/CD, maybe take Jenkins, take Concourse, anything. Learn one part of it. For like infrastructure automation, learn Terraform. So try learning whatever you know. And then if you're very new, just for the sake of adding everything into your resume, don't do it, right? What you know, please add it, because it's important that you showcase and let the people know, or the recruiter know, that okay, you are good at this, you are very good at this, and you're learning this. So if a question comes from a space where you said you are good at it, make sure that you are actually good at it, not for the sake of resume you have kept that. So whenever you keep anything on a resume, make sure you have attained that knowledge. So I would say, make sure you're good. You make sure that you are able to answer all the questions related to, or not all, but most of them, questions which are, you are confident that you're in that technology, and you know what is what on the other aspects of the job description, because I don't think any recruiter expects everything to be mastered in every technology. So yeah.
Wow, cool. I love that last one. People recruiters don't actually, employers don't actually expect you to be a master of all. That's the reason why you can actually learn on the job, and that is really really good. I don't expect any recruiter to expect people to know everything, but
Yes,
ability
and
for
I
you
think,
to learn.
sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt, because I think Donia
yeah.
have said very important point that basic networking is definitely important. So yeah, I
Mm.
mean, you need to know
Okay,
what
yes.
is CCTV.
Yes,
Yep, yep, yep.
basic networking. Networking is actually key. I mean, it's
Hmm.
like Manu said earlier that LinkedIn is a really important resource for anyone that is actually looking out for opportunity because you're able to network. I always say you should leverage your network. You should leverage your network. Sorry. Network that she's referring to here is actually
It's a
networking,
normal
basic
TCP
networking,
networking. Yeah,
not
yeah,
people networking. Yes,
yeah,
key,
yeah,
very key as well. That's
yeah.
true. Thank you, Dunia, for your active participation in this session. So thank you, Manu. Thank you so much. I would hand over to Natalie now.
Thank you, Bukola. Thank you, everybody who participated in the panel. And I hope the questions were interesting and useful, and the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So we will take a couple of minutes break, and by couple, I mean 2 minutes break, right before we get to our next talk about mentoring. See you all in 2 minutes.
Okay. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.